Yep, I'm good with my mic. My mic is good. Mhm. It's good. Mm-mm. Everything is good. Definitely can't hear.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Again,
Can't hear you guys.
to welcome to our Saturday, our Soul Care Saturdays with Dr. Angela Clack and myself. I definitely want to thank you for joining us on this platform. We're live on Project Resiliency Movement's page. We're also live on StreamYard as well as the Project Resiliency Movement YouTube. So wherever platform you're joining us from, as we engage in this conversation today, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Our my co-host for this segment, Dr. Clack, is having a bit of audio issue, so I guess she's hopping off to then hop back on just to see if that changes for her. So I'll just go ahead and again introduce and welcome you guys, usher you guys into the space for a wonderful early Saturday morning here at Soul Care Saturday. And again, this is going to be a series of about maybe about five conversations over the course of 5 months. So we'll be coming on once a month. The third, it looks like the third Saturday at 9 a.m. of every month, except for March, because we have a very special event on March 20th. So that'll be the only month in a row that we don't come on live. But again, we should be on January, February, April, and May, the third Saturday at 9 a.m. So thank you again for tuning in. So just wanted to make sure those get added to your calendar. Again, just as you come on in on the platform, if you're engaged with us, do say hello. We love to know when people are in the room. We love to know when folks are here. So feel free to come on in the room to have the conversation with us and to engage with us. And feel free to ask your questions. This is really an open dialogue conversation. Dr. Clack and I try to really keep things informal, just because we want people to feel open enough to ask questions, to engage real time in the conversation, as we actually share our expertise. But again, as we want to learn from everyone that's also on the platform for the topic of the day. So again, I want to make sure that I welcome all of you, whatever platform you're joining us from. We want to thank you again for joining us. Today's topic, I'll get into in a minute, but again, our expert in the room is Dr. Angela Clack. It looks like she's coming back on,
Yeah.
um, and I think she's still having a bit of trouble with her audio, but we can hear her. So I'm hoping that even if she can't hear me, we can hear her on the platform. So I'll probably just cue her when I'm ready
See if
to.
this works.
Okay. I'll just cue her when I'm ready to hand it over to her. But in the meantime, it's countdown time. Countdown time. 8:59. We wanted to come on a little bit early as we decided to engage and start on time at 9 a.m. For those who are early birds and up and going. Um, yeah, so we wanted to make sure that we came on and uh, and offered that opportunity to be on for folks that wanted to start on time. And so it's 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock. It's 9 a.m. And so we want to go ahead and start engaging. So I'll start and kick off, and I'll cue Dr. Clack when it's time for her to engage, even though she can't hear me. These platforms love us. Of course, technology is our friend if it works, and if it doesn't, then that's something totally different. But I'll engage in the meantime until she's able to get her audio situated. All right, so the topic for today is new beginnings. So new beginnings. Of course, we want to welcome you again to Soul Care Saturday. Again, it's myself and Dr. Angela Clack, my counterpart, who's having a bit of technology issues, but we want to still engage on time. Welcome, Barbara. Good morning. Hope you have your cup of coffee or tea. Dawn, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you guys for engaging. I know who my early risers are. And thank you guys for coming on and joining this conversation. Hopefully, Dr. Clack's able to resolve her audio. I'm telling her that she's able to hear us. So even if she doesn't, we're able to hear her, even if she can't hear me or hear us rather on the platform. So hopefully she'll be able to resolve, but I'll get us started. Good morning, Hillary. How are you, honey? And so wonderful of you guys to join us. I know who my early risers are again. Thanks for joining us. I'm looking to engage in this conversation with you guys. It's something that I've been processing myself personally, which is really how to look at strategies for really thinking about how do we actually let go of things from our past, and of course make room for the new. Right, we're in a new year, we're in a new month, right, we're in a new season. So all of that, we're in a space of so much newness at this point in time in our lives, right? And so it's really a good point of a gauging point to really put a gauge out here as to how can we create some new healing aspects in our lives, some new habits. How do we form and build new characteristics within ourselves that we're looking to create as a lifestyle choice? It's really a new space to add anew. And so for PRM, for Project Resiliency Movement, personally, we thought this would be a great conversation, myself and Dr. Clack, to begin with, because we're really focusing for PRM on the year of manifest. So Project Resiliency Movement is a social movement, and I'm the CEO and founder of Project Resiliency Movement. It's a social movement that was created for women of color to focus on areas of resiliency and self-care. And so we do a lot of activities, a lot of workshops, events, etc. throughout the year to really bring awareness and to bring a safe space for women of color to be able to heal and to find opportunities to connect around their healing, focused on resiliency and self-care. So again, that's what we do as a movement. This year, we have committed to being a part of helping individuals manifest. And so this is our year of manifest. Okay, so for us, we take this very seriously. And so we're committed to having a series of activities and events throughout the year that's focused on manifesting, right? Manifesting with intention, right? So again, we want to make sure that that every conversation we have is on intention and is focused in the areas of manifesting. And thus, this conversation, which I think is so crucial at this time as we begin a new month, a new year, and a new season. It's so vitally important that we have this discussion about strategies for letting go of the old, and of course, moving in and making room for your new. So I just wanted to kind of introduce the topic a little bit, and then I'm going to turn it over. Hi, Lorraine. Thanks for joining us. To our speaker, Dr. Clack, and hopefully, I'm not quite sure if she's able to resolve or hear me, but I was able to hear her before, so hopefully, you guys will be able to hear her when she's ready to share. But I'll just go ahead and introduce and kind of initiate and start our conversation off. All right. Hi, Tyra. How are you, honey? Thanks for joining. All right. And manning our PRM message board. So again, our topic for today, strategies, how to let go of the old and make room for the new. So I figured I would get us started here. All right. So if you have things that you're trying to manifest for 2021, and making space for new things, this is the conversation that you need to be a part of today. And we're so glad that you chose 9 a.m. To join us this early. I know who our early risers are. Those folks that are here, we thank you for joining this conversation. The early bird gets the worm, and so we're all about manifesting and getting that worm early this morning on intention. So hopefully you came early enough to get your worm. Okay. So every now and again at a time in our lives, we come at a very pivotal point or moment in our lives where we have to realize that we need to start pivoting. We need to start pitching. We need to start ditching. We need to start purging. We need to start decluttering our lives, right? So this is the foundation and the basis for this conversation. So by things but we could mean a variety of things. When we say things, this could be creating healthier habits. This could be creating healthier thoughts, right? This could be just being a nicer person, focusing on being a better human being, right? This could be creating more life-affirming things or beliefs about yourself, right? So this could mean all of these things, right? When we say new things, creating room for the new, these could be all aspects of areas of the new. And again, if you can relate to any of this, if this sounds like something that you're looking to add more of in your life for 2021, add that in the comments. We want to know real time, what is your new, right? What is your new that you're looking to manifest on for 2021? Drop that in the comments. And what is the old that you're trying to get rid of? Okay. So that's a two-part question. What's the new you're trying to create more room for? And what's the old that you're looking to let go of? If you're bold enough and brave enough to share that in the comments, we'd love to hear from you real time. And of course, we'll comment as we see that in the feed. Okay. But I just want to make sure that I put a disclaimer out here that if you're really, really looking to do this, right? For all those big, bold, and brave manifestors, right? If you're really looking to do this on intention, right? This work doesn't come easy, right? It's going to require you, and feel free to chime in, Dr. Clack. It's going to require you to sacrifice something for it, right? If you're going to make room for the new, you've got to be willing to ditch, to pivot, to declutter, or to purge something of the old. You got to sacrifice something to make room for the new, right? And that's with anything in our lives, all aspects and areas, right? Right? So it's uneasy. It's a lot of uns. We're going to talk about all the uns today. It's uneasy.
Yes.
It's uncomfortable. It's about we're really talking about the elephant in the room. When we talk about all those uns, we're talking about the elephant in the room. We're talking about today is change, right? You've got to be willing to change, right? And so that's the elephant. We're real time. We're going to deal with elephants today in the room in order to help you to adjust and pivot and make room for the new. So I see some comments coming up. My old lack of confidence and walking into a new level of confidence. Barbara, I see that. I see that.
All
and
right.
we wish all that for you for 2021. And of course, hoping this conversation is your catalyst moment in order to leap you into that new level of confidence. Okay. And if Dr. Clack, feel free to say any that you see coming up too.
So can I do a sound check? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I didn't want to say anything till I knew that we could be heard. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. And of course, what's your elephant in the room when it comes to making room for your new? Okay, we want to know that. So Dr. Clack, any comments so far? I'm just kind of just getting started a little bit in terms of the conversation, but feel free to chime in if you have any initial thoughts.
So far, I'm in agreement with you about big change requires big courage. So I'm with you.
Yes. Okay. So of course, many of us spend more time avoiding change, right? The big elephant in the room is change we're talking about today, rather than leaning into the process of our change, right?
Yes.
And making room for the changes, right? So I think sometimes the change does not stick. A lot of times, even when we try to make attempts at changing, it doesn't stick because we haven't sacrificed and released and purged and ditched our old to make room for the new. So sometimes we struggle with, okay, dang, I failed at changing, and trying to change behavior or habits. And it's not that you failed at changing the behavior habits. It's because you didn't make room for the new habits and the new behaviors. You didn't let go of things. You didn't sacrifice things to make room for those new things, right? So I want to make sure I'm setting the foundation, right? So when Dr. Clack comes with her stuff, her goodies and her gems, we're setting the foundation today for this conversation because we're gonna dig deep. We don't do surface. We deal with elephants in the room.
That's so true. Oh, let me say this. It's so funny because well, I know you and I are familiar. Anybody on here about Clubhouse? Is there a couple people that know when I come on? It's like my questions aren't surface. So I always say, get ready. We've done surface for too long.
Too long. And if we're truly trying to manifest, and that's our goal to help every and anybody that's connected to our movement this year. If we're truly going to manifest, we've got to dig deep in our bag of habits, behaviors, things that we're not affirming, all levels of self-doubt, all things that we don't that are not affirming things over our lives, and we've got to let them things go like a bad habit. We've got to be willing to drop them like a bad habit, okay?
Mhm.
And like the bad habit it is, right?
Yep.
And so that requires, again, sacrifice. That requires, again, to show up for ourselves. And that requires for us to actually lean into uncomfortable spaces, which really are based in change.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm not gonna keep it surface today. I'm gonna
Good.
hit some. It's gonna be some ouches and some band-aids that I'm gonna peel off, right? And we're gonna dig deep, right? We're gonna take all them band-aids off that only covers up the surface wounds, and we're gonna dig deep to the core of this thing. Okay. Then the core of this thing is change, right? Being willing to change, right? Tiffany Hernandez, welcome. Welcome. And
she said good. She's ready.
She said good.
Tiffany's ready.
Awesome. And if you're ready, I want to see some I'm ready's in the comments. Okay?
Yes.
If you're ready for us to dig deep in this conversation, I want to see some I'm ready's. Consistency in the change is made. Yes, absolutely, Lorraine. So vitally important. All right. So if you find yourself right in those cleaning mode spaces of your life, right, it requires a little bit more than motivation, and of course, you're struggling with where to get started. That's where we are today. That's the starting point. That's the foundation for this conversation. Okay, if you're in that space, I want to clean, I want to get rid of, I want to let go, but I don't quite know how to actually make that happen for myself. Okay. That's where this conversation comes in. Okay. Who's ready? We're ready. I'm ready. She ready. Whatever, however you want to voice that in the comments, feel free to go ahead and do that.
They ready. They're ready,
Dr. Clack. So I
Yep.
I'm just trying to set the stage for you. Set the stage for you to come in and do the magic that you do, which is give us the strategy. Right.
Amen.
So, okay.
Right.
So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Clack. She is a psychotherapist, you guys. She is a woman of color herself, of course.
Yes.
And she also specializes in trauma and healing and wellness, right, for women of color. So she is an expert at the conversation that we're about to have and dig into today. So again, we are doing this once a month. This is our first in a series of maybe about 5 months. I'm trying to lock her in, guys. You see me, I'm slick. I'm trying to lock her in. A series of about 5 months of worth of conversations. Listen, I don't do surface. I don't mind owning myself.
Right.
So I'm gonna own myself. I'm trying to lock her in for 5. Okay, and this is for y'all. So y'all help me lock her in. Okay. All right. So
no
again,
pressure.
The first of 5. No pressure though. No pressure, Dr. Clack. The conversations that we're going to have, and we wanted to start with this one again because PRM is focusing on manifesting all 2021, and this conversation is so vital. If you're looking to be a manifester, you've got to be willing to let go of some old things. You got to sacrifice some things in order to make room for that new thing that you're trying to manifest. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful mental health clinician expert, Dr. Angela Clack. Thank you so much for again coming on, being our guest, and of course, leading us in this conversation and topic.
Yeah. Good morning. Listen, I wouldn't be here to talk about this if I haven't started and if I'm not doing my own work. Many years ago, I used to do a lot of teaching and talking, and now I've decided probably when I start doing my own inner healing work is that I have to walk the walk, talk the talk, walk, all of that good stuff. But also, if I'm going to ask other people to step into that space, I have to do that work myself. So there's nothing here that I'm not going to share or give that I'm not doing or haven't done myself. So I'm still walking.
That's ditto for both of us.
Yep. I'm still doing it. Yeah. And connections like this are important because it helps us stay accountable to each other. So this is why when we talk about finding your tribe and your community, that's why this is so important. So I'm going to start out. I want to know, I think everybody does this. Listen, I think we're old enough to know New Year's resolutions don't work. I think we have all outgrown the concept of New Year's resolutions because usually by the 2nd of January, we've already kind of abandoned them. And that it's time to go for, it's done. It's done. So it's time to go for intention if you want manifestation, not just, I really want to. Expressing a desire versus putting in the work, and so it requires intention. So my first question for everybody is, what was your word? Everybody does a word because a word for me grounds us. What was your word for 2021? And I'll start with you, Dr. Bates. Did you have a word coming into 2021?
Yeah, so I guess my word is intention. So
Mm,
I'm really focusing on how do I make everything that all the work that I do match the space that I'm in personally. So the work that I'm doing personally match the space that I'm trying to create for everyone else.
yeah,
So right, so I'm doing the work, so I'm creating a space for everybody else to do their own work to manifest. I'm moving on manifestation. I'm trying to remove some things and sacrifice some things in order to make room for my new things. So I'm actually creating a space for people to be able to learn how to do the same. So
yep,
everything I do, I want it to be about manifesting this year. I'm trying to connect the dots with people through different series of events and activities on how they're doing it. But as they're doing their own work, I'm doing the same myself based on my own personal goals. So
that's
again,
it.
it would be intention.
That's it. And so for me, in one of my prayer times, so Tiffany has harvest. I love that. For me, in one of my prayer times, I got to grab my journal because I actually had to look it up. The word that came to me was synchronicity. And when I looked up the definition, it says the interaction or cooperation of two or more organizations. This is our connection, right? Substances or other agents to produce a combined effect greater than the sum of separate effects. And then I said, okay, what does that look like? And the first thing says, we vibe to thrive. So if it's a connection for 2021 that is meant to be, then that's what I believe in terms of synchronicity. It comes in alignment with my goals, my purpose, my brand, right? So many of us are building brands or have built brands, and we jumped on everything with everybody. And then we realized, wait a minute, we're not on the same page in terms of what we're putting out here, or we don't have the same vision or goals. And that's okay, because everybody has their own direction that they want to go into. But I've learned the older you get and the wiser you get, you don't need everybody. You need those who are in alignment with your goals and purpose. So make sure that that's kind of where you're going for 2021. Our goals
Write this in here. Find your tribe. Find your
it,
tribe.
yes. And
Tribe.
it needs to be in synchronicity and alignment with who you are as a person, with who you are as your values, your brand. All of that needs to be consistent, because if not, at some point you'll compromise, and you'll compromise in places you didn't want to, because your brand may be a little bit different. So it doesn't mean we can't collab or kind of work together. It just means that I might not need to be in all the spaces that they're in. They have a different direction that they might be going in. And that's okay.
I say it all the time, Dr. Clark, not to cut you off, but I say it all the time. You have to not only find your tribe, but they have to be on the right wavelength with you and the right frequency.
That's,
right?
I like that. Yep.
You got to be on the right wavelength and the right frequency. If your frequency is off and if their frequency is off, they're going to throw your frequency off. Right? Yes. If their wavelength is off, and if you're a positive person and you're around negative people, eventually it's going to seep into your spirit, your very being. You're going to start to become and think negatively. So you got to find your tribe, and they got to be on the right wavelength and the right frequency.
Absolutely. And this should have started in 2020. So any goals we have for 2021, not too late now, but we should have been thinking about this in 2020, because we already saw the handwriting on the wall, right? So we already saw kind of where we were going into with the pandemic and all of the things that came along with that. So we already should have been making adjustments in 2020. And so when I started to do with people, I said, you either tweak it, you keep it, or let it go. And that's it. Tweak it, keep it, let it go. So some things you can tweak, because some things might need just an adjustment and you'll be taking off. Some things need a little bit more in terms of, hey, I'm really ready to need to let this go. This no longer serves me. And then keep it. There's some things in 2020 during that pandemic that many of us started that if it weren't for that pandemic, we wouldn't have. There's a lot of new things we did. And so that's, you want to keep that for 2021. And so here are my 5 strategies. So number 1, I talk about now is the time to take a life review. You can call it an inventory. You can call it a self-assessment. I kind of call it a year-end review, but look at a life review. And I want you to take your paper and draw a line down the middle. So get your journal or planner or whatever you use, draw a line down the middle. And on one column, it's going to say what worked, what I'm keeping, and what I'm continuing to work on for 2021. And then the other side says what no longer serves me, right? And then when you put the where it no longer serves you, you have to put why. We always have to remember why we're doing something so that we stay committed, and it stays in the front of our brain when we feel discouraged. We'll say, oh, wait a minute, why did I even decide to take this class? Oh, because I'm going to get an increase or a promotion on my job, so I don't feel like studying, but there's a bigger goal. So we have to remember our why. So number 1, I want you to take now, everything I'm giving you is something you're going to be working on in the next couple of months. None of this will be done like right away. So it's okay that you take your time and just write these steps down and then come back and work on them. So number one is take a life review. Look back over 2020 and make this column on your page. And on one side, it says what worked and what I'm keeping and what I'm going to continue to work on last year. And then another side is what no longer serves me. And one of the things I really want you to look at in what no longer serves you are some relationships. There are some connections and relationships that we have to let go. Either we have outgrown them or they were very toxic and we were just hanging on to them for whatever reasons. And that's something we got to go inside and say, hey, why did I stay in this relationship when it seems like I'm doing all the work? Or why did I stay in this relationship and it seems like it's more discouraging or it's more emotionally abusive to me and my spirit? I have to really consider what's going on for me. I have to work that out within me. So those are your two columns. So that's one. Let's look at 2020 and say what worked, what didn't work, and let me start to move towards changing those things. Number two, I want you to look back and I want you to write down all the goals, all the milestones that you achieved in 2020. Sometimes we don't even realize how little things have such a great impact. You may have got a speaking engagement. You may have finished your book. You may have started a book. You may have lost that 10 pounds. You might have started a new business during COVID or pandemic. Right? Go back and look. And sometimes we don't remember. So it's okay to say to my friend, like, I have this list of things that I accomplished. Can you think of anything else that I'm forgetting? Ask people and they'll be like, oh yeah, remember you did that 5K. You're like, oh man, I forgot all about that because it was so early in the year. But go back and look and start to give yourself some praise for everything that you did accomplish. So much we go back and we always say, gosh, I didn't do this. I told myself I was going to do this. Don't just look at what you didn't do. We'll look at that too. But go back and look at, you know what, this is like a gratitude moment. Go back and say, dang, I really was able to get some things done, even in the middle of a whole pandemic. Even in the middle of this, maybe a job transition or a job loss. I made some things. I accomplished some things. I achieved some things. Write them down. Put them in your remembrance. And sometimes check your timeline. Like often we post pictures or things like on our Facebook or social media. Go back to your timeline. That's one way to definitely, with most of us, put all of our good stuff out there, right? That's where we put all the good stuff, not the bad stuff. Go back, check your timeline and go back to the beginning of 2020 and look at how many things happened in your life over 2020 and write all those things out. And like I said, it's okay to ask people like, dang, are there other things you remember that I did? All right. So that's all a part of number one. I'm sorry. Number two, I want you to answer this question is how have you made an impact in your life and the life of others? Because I want us to be so unselfish going into 2021 that God has given us gift, talents, and abilities, not just to harbor and hold for us, but to be able to be a blessing to others. So I want you to look back. How have you made an impact in your life and also the lives of others, right? So this is a journaling thing. So this is going to take a moment, all right? So I'm glad that we're having them written in here. So I'm going to slow down and say, so number two, or we can say three because I combined that one. She got it. Oh, she's on top of it. How have you made an impact in your life and the life of others? Thank you, Sonda. That's Sonda, right? Doing the notes. Thank you, Sonda. Okay. So add this to your journal. Again, I want you to be able to remember who you are and how you showed up in the world. All of these things are going to build on the next successive sessions that you have with us here. So keep it going. Keep it going. Number four. Yes, you got it. Number four. Now's the time I will say, what didn't you achieve that you set out to do in 2020, right? And then also do an honest reflection and say why. Now, we already know about the pandemic. So we all say that that's going to be sort of like the overarching bubble for everything. But that can't be a reason or rationalization or excuse for everything, right? So let's say someone says, well, in 2020, I knew that I had a goal to write my book. Then I didn't. So why not? Were you distracted? Were you, focused on something else? Did something else get your attention? Were you discouraged? Were you afraid? Whatever that was, we're going to write those down. What didn't you achieve that you set out to do in 2020? Because now that will be part of your 2021 journey. But also say why. And it's time to be honest with ourselves. We could just say, I stopped. I just quit. I didn't feel like doing it. Because that's part of the motivation that you'll need. But as Dr. Bates said in the beginning, everything you do in 2021 and going forward, motivation is only a fraction of it. There are so many more things you have to factor in and so much more intention. For me, what didn't I achieve? I'm trying to think, what would I have put down? What I didn't achieve, there were some things that I wanted to grow in my business. And I have no excuse. I have no excuse. They are moving over into 2021. I've already got my plan written out. And that's one of the things I think why I didn't plan it out well. So when we make goals and plans, strategy, just what we're doing now has to come with that. I had it all in my head, but I didn't have enough of it down on paper. So I've already made some adjustments. I had to hire some people to come in and take over some things because I was doing too much.
That's such a good point, Dr. Clack, that you can have the best of intentions, but without an execution strategy, they just become just intention. So it has to be mirrored or married rather with the execution strategy. And the execution strategy might be, I'm not an expert in this thing I'm trying to get done, but I know I need to find somebody who is, right? And I need to get them on my team so they can help me to actually do that. You know what I mean? For some people, for some of you, you might not be an expert in changing habits on your own. So you might need a life coach. You know what I mean? Like you might need a life coach on your team to help you execute, you know what I'm saying? Execute whatever it is you're trying to change as a habitual or a healthier lifestyle for yourself. So I just want to give that example. Yeah.
The other example I'll use is similar to yours. Is the whole 2020, I kept texting my old trainer saying, oh man, I got to come back. I got to come back. I got to come back. And never once was like, hey, get in here. He was never like that. Every now and then he would shoot me a text. How you doing? How you doing? And finally, I just had to say to myself, listen, stop texting at me and you cannot do this by yourself. You clearly do not have a fitness mindset without someone being accountable to you. And so by December, that last text was, hey, I'm ready. And we've been working together ever since. But it had to be an investment and had to be a mindset from keep sending him this to make him think that you're still on top of this. And you're just like, you're entertaining.
You ain't fooling nobody. Right? Nobody.
I'm just entertaining my own thoughts. And then finally, when, just when my health really began to deteriorate, I said, hey, I can't play with this anymore. And I really decided, and that went into my planning. That was one of my things that said, hey, what no longer serves you is excuses. Excuses for why I don't work out. I have a whole gym that we put together in our house. We did this strategically. We would go on Facebook Marketplace when gyms were shutting down and they were getting rid of equipment. We started buying equipment because they were getting rid of it. I didn't have to go to any major store and pay $1,000 for things. I just bit by bit, me and my husband started buying weights. We got this. People who stopped working out were starting to sell. They had to do a fire sale. Listen, where there's a will, there's a way. You don't have to spend a lot of money all the time to do things if you have a determined mindset. And that's where I was with my fitness. So, all right, number 4, what goals have you set for 2021? And I hope that you've already written them down or you're going to tweak them because it's never too late. And here's my formula. It's personal and professional. What are some personal goals? Come up with 2 or 3 and then professional. Now, I further break mine down into categories. So I will go mental, spiritual, physical, emotional, financial, and sometimes I'll do relational.
I love that.
And because for me, I always need things to be organized. In my mind, it's like mail slots in my mind so that I remember kind of where I'm working on things. And that's how I set my vision boards up too. And so those are the things I say, okay, so physically, I've already started working with my trainer. I put our sessions in my agenda book like I would an appointment. So just like I schedule my clients, he's on there for whatever time. And so that's how I make sure. And now he has a plan for me. So I have to keep my food journal and I have to keep my fitness journal. So not only my goals, now there's a sub goal. I have to report to him. So I write everything down and I shoot pictures to him. So that's how he keeps me accountable.
That's
So sometimes you have
accountability.
goals, then you get sub goals, because this is what it requires. So remember, like, we're not doing surface anymore. If you're going to do this, do it all the way. Either you're all in or you're all out. That's what I've learned. Like, a lot of times we've dipped our toe in stuff, and we might even
we on the fence, like,
yeah, but no,
tolerant.
this is whole body. This is whole mind and body. Either you're going to do it or you're not. And this is one thing I learned. This is just a really quick side tip. One of the things my husband showed me in terms of, he was mentoring our grandson, and he was talking to him about the wisdom of Black men. And he said, either when it comes to a man giving his word, either he's going to do it or he's not. He said, there's no whole lot of like, well, man, you know, I thought that you said that I could come yesterday, or I thought that, you know, we were going to do it. My husband says, no, when a man gets his word, he's either going to do it or he's not.
Your word is your bond.
That's it, period. We make a lot of excuses. We make a lot of rationalizations, and we come up with a lot of reasons why. So the same thing, you're either all in this year or you're not, because playing small, shrinking back, that's gone. We cannot do that. If nothing else, 2020 showed us is that tomorrow is not promised, and it won't look the same. So you either all in or you're not. And do this for yourself.
What I'm saying too is no more.
Yeah, go
water.
hard or go home.
Yeah, no more shallow water. Okay.
Yep. Oh, I like that.
Get out the shallow side. You got to get deeper. Whatever it is that you're trying to do this year, you got to get deeper involved in the process of doing it.
And it's hard, right?
Because it's cool. Because the shallow side, you're comfortable in the fact that you know, like there's no potential for you or the risk for you to drown, right? So like, okay, I'm comfortable because I know it's only going to go waist high.
Yes.
Right? But you know, when you go into the deep, you got to get uncomfortable.
Yes.
You might flail a little bit too. You might flail a little bit until you get your rhythm.
I'd like that. No more shallow water. We got to go to the deep end. That's right. Yeah. And guess what? If you don't know how to swim, you're going to learn. You're going to learn today. That's my Kevin Hart saying.
I know,
anyway,
right?
you're going to learn today. So use the SMART formula, right? So your goals need to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. All goals need a deadline or a timeline. Don't leave them open-ended, because then you will work all the way to the end of that date. Make them things that, no, we don't want to say I'm going to lose 30 pounds in a month. That's kind of, I think that's unhealthy.
Unrealistic.
Right? Unrealistic. But make it realistic and come with timelines and deadlines, and then do your sub goals. That's how you do that. And then think about what resources, what tools do you need to help you stay consistent and committed. I have a planner. I have two planners. I have a regular planner. I have one for my business, and then I have my journal. You can have whatever tools you want, right? They're all beautiful. They now come with stickers. They have questions. They have prompts. But once you write it down, then you need to follow through. And that's that. For me, I carry big purses because I carry around some of those books inside of my purse. So that if I'm driving and something hits me, or if I need to write down what I'm eating or something like that, then I write it right then and there. Because if I wait till I get home, if I wait till I get home, it's usually going to be censored or it's going to be forgotten. So you just keep your tools with you. And that's it. I know that's a lot, but it really is just like the beginning of how to manifest what you want for 2021. And I just say, just put your whole body. This is a whole body movement. Your mind, your body, your soul, your spirit, your tribe. You really do need community. We cannot do this alone. Part of my community is my trainer. Part of my community is Dr. Bates and her community. Part of my community are the ladies who work for me in my practice. Like, everybody matters, but nothing matters more than you, because you cannot, we've said this all the time, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot pour if you don't have the energy, if you don't have the stamina, if you don't have the knowledge. You have to have people you can go to support and to get resource from. So that's it for me, Dr. Bates. If people have questions, if people already have goals that they've written they want to share, I'd love to hear it.
Yes, please drop those in the comments. And I love that. I'm going to steal that, Dr. Clack. And I'm being honest. I'm going to steal that. This is a whole body movement. My PRM advisory board, make sure y'all know that, right? That we're gonna give Dr. Clack credit, but we're stealing it. This is a whole body movement. PRM is a whole body movement. We care about the whole man, the holistic man, that he is well and whole and healed. Okay, we're stealing it.
Take it.
But we take
whatever
but
we
we're gonna
can
give
do.
her credit. We're gonna give her credit.
That's fine. Whatever we can do to help women to be stronger, to be better, to be wiser going forward. Because for me, now you can steal this one too, because I wholeheartedly believe this, and this is what I put in my journal. I believe that it is women who will heal the world. But first, we have to be healed first. We vibe on a whole different level than men. And there are going to be places and spaces that are going to require us. And it's going to require us to be in health, mentally, physically, and spiritually. We are going to heal the world. But you have to heal yourself first. And that is my mission for 2021.
Listen, if I could snap, you would have heard them snaps. Listen, if I could. But now you know something new about Dr. Bates. Dr. Bates is not snap. Okay? If I could, you would have heard him. Okay? All right. So let's get your questions, let's get your inquiries out here. She's given us a strategy, but we want to hear from you. Okay. Yeah. We need to know from you. Okay, is there a question you have about how to let go? Is there something you're struggling with about how to let go? That you know that you can put, that you're bold enough and courageous enough to put on here, that we can walk through with you while Dr. Clack is on the line with us. And we're here till 10. So we want to utilize every bit of this expertise that Dr. Clack has given us. Listen, I ain't going to tell you how much she charged per session. But what I'm saying is she's giving us this little bit of time, right? To get a little bit of a session in with her. So we ought to utilize her, okay, in her expertise. So let's get it out on the table. Let's get it in the comments. Okay, we want to make sure that we all leave here with some strategy, with our questions answered about how to make room for the new. If there's a specific thing that you're trying to make room for the new about, please put that in the comments. We want to take some, give you some tangible bits to walk away with, so you don't feel like, okay, yeah, I got strategy, but what do I do next? Okay, so please drop that in the comments. This is your time. Okay. I see a couple things drop. You can help if you're not 100 yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, she said you can't help.
Oh, you can't. Yeah.
That's right.
Makes more sense. Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah,
exactly.
For sure.
Exactly. And you know what? I think, Dr. Althea, sometimes people do things, and I actually do this too. Sometimes people do things behind the scenes, right? So if people are working on things, you don't have to promote everything. If you're working on some things and you need to be off the grid for a minute, that's fine. If you just need
to off the grid,
come off the grid. You don't have to post everything. You don't have to tell everything. And then if you want to come out when you've gotten closer, or you say, hey, I know I've been off for a while, but this is what I've been working on. And then you show up, and you show up authentically telling about your journey. So some people
there's a question right there. When you are the go-to person for everyone, how do you find space and time to focus on yourself and goals? Great one.
Oh, intention. Great question. Intention. This is a hard one for me, because I am often the go-to, not just for my clients, but I have made myself the go-to for friends and family. And so what I do is intention. So I will, like I said, I use my
Dr. Clack is my go-to. So
right? I'm here for people, and I tell people that all the time.
Family plan. Thank God.
Right. That's good. That is true. But I do tell people. I tell people, reach out to me whenever you need. Now, that doesn't always mean I might get right back to you right away.
And I'm okay with that.
Means, right? I will get back to you. You might have a birthday. You may not get your gift on the birthday, but you'll get it in the month of your birthday, right? I don't forget about you, but it might take me time to get around you. And that's probably because I want to make sure that you have my undivided attention and time. And if I'm already immersed in something, that's not fair. And I want to so I might say, hey, I'm going to get back to you. I'll get around to you. But when you get me, you got me. You got me. So intention. If you're the go-to person, it's to deliberately set time aside for yourself. And if you had to put it in your planner, then you say on Saturdays from 9 to 10, I'm in this project resiliency space, one Saturday a month. That's your self-care. And then maybe you work out after this. And then maybe you have lunch with a friend. Whatever that is, you might have to plan it. But if you don't plan things, then things can get on your schedule without your permission.
And I'm going to add to that, Dr. Clack. I have learned to make room on my calendar for nothing, for just
like
being
that.
still. So, but I'm a busy, and I'm a mover and shaker, and Dr. Clark can tell you, and my team will tell you that I constantly move, but I make non-negotiable times on my calendar for just to be still. And I'll tell people I have an appointment. I'll tell people I have an appointment in a minute. And I think I learned that from my first therapist. Is I had a problem saying no, and one of the things that she taught me was that just block off time on your calendar and just tell people you have an appointment until you have the courage to tell them no. Just say I have a standing appointment that I cannot break.
Yes.
I have a standing appointment, and I'm so apologize, but I cannot break it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the standing appointment is me, but they don't got to know that.
Yes, exactly. Like she says, not right now. Yes, give yourself permission to create space for you. Investing in you. You're really investing in you. Yes, schedule that silent space. I love that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Those are important boundaries. Yeah, that's what I say. I'd rather show up fully charged than show up depleted. Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about boundaries a little bit. Thank you, Tiffany, for raising that point. If people are struggling with how to, if maybe that's their thing that they're trying to create or make room for is how to make room or how to set boundaries. And for when they create their new habit, their new, maybe they're trying to create boundaries around that. Like what advice or just tips or strategy do you have for folks that are just trying to maybe set boundaries around the new lifestyle, the new habits, or the new focal points that they're trying to focus on in their lives for, as they're trying to manifest for 2021?
The most common thing that I hear about when people struggle with setting boundaries is they don't want people to be mad at them. So by telling them no or I can't, is they don't want to feel guilty about taking time for themselves, or they don't want to feel guilty about making a decision that is personal for them but may affect other people. And so one of the things that women, particularly because we're such givers and rescuers and caregivers, is learning that no is okay, but also that I have to also make myself a priority, and that people forget you're one person and they come to you for resources, for your time, for your energy, whatever that is. And it's robbing you of all of your energy and you have nothing left for yourself. It is okay. And if you feel guilty about it, then that's something you can work on. You can definitely work on, why do I feel guilty? Now, there's another thing that I see with women. Sometimes women love to be needed. And so they have created relationships where people are dependent on them. And then when people stop depending on them, there's this kind of emptiness that they feel like, wow,
what's my role?
They don't need me.
What's my role?
That's it. They don't need me anymore. So that's inner work, right? So we talked about, we're not doing surface anymore. Start to dig deep.
I think that's a clack. I would say that's for men. There's that situation occurs in men too. And I like even like when it happens when it's linked with like insecurity a lot of times. Like I find my security blanket is the fact that I know I'm needed, and I have a space where I'm going to show up all the time because I know I'm needed in this space of being needed. And it goes back to security, being secure in yourself.
So that's the deep work, right? Is to start working on what are my insecurities or where do I lack confidence? Because if I'm confident, then I can set boundaries and not feel guilty about it. She says, we also have to be careful not to jump in and volunteer before even being asked. Yeah, that's that superhero syndrome. That is true. That is true. Yeah, absolutely.
And then it's like going back to the root of that, right? Like if from a therapist perspective, you of course you're dealing with the root of why of the people's why all the time. So something like that, it's like the need to be needed, right? Maybe the narcissist, the need to be needed. Going back to the why, where did that stem from? A lot of times that's like from childhood, right? The need to be needed, right? That space.
That's right.
So the savior complex is a sure way to attract narcissists. Yes, absolutely.
That's right. That's right. Yep. So those are good boundaries. How about most of us know all this, but fear guilt, lack of self are the drivers of why we don't act. Action speaks volumes. Get off of your own head couch and show up for yourself. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's that fear. It's the guilt. That's it. Mm-hmm. Especially when it comes to those
ancestral patterns.
Oh, consistency. That's a good one too.
And you know what? So I highly believe. I want to say this. I highly believe in generational curses. So, sometimes our patterns and our behaviors and our habits, we show up a certain way in the world from the womb, because it's embedded in us, because that's how our parents showed up. That's how our parents' showed up. And if those aren't positive habits, and they're negative habits that don't serve us, then it continues to create those generational curses from generation to generation. Can we talk about that a little bit? Like, how do you break that?
And I think that, so I also use, sometimes I say generational curses, generational burdens, legacies. So legacies,
yes,
right?
I love
legacies can be powerful, and they can also be destructive. And so and that's kind of like perpetuating things one generation to another. Somebody in one of the generations has to start to do the healing work. That's how that starts to get to change and shift from out of generational legacies that are destructive to those that are more powerful, those that are more empowering in families. So we can start to share those kind of stories down from one generation to another about, well, what are the strengths from 400 years ago? What are the strengths from legacies 200 years ago? We can go back, great-grandmother, grandmother, whatever we can remember. What are the strengths? What are the things that we can remember that are the powerful stories? Not just all of the things that talk about the hardship, not just things that we haven't taken care of or resolved. And one of the biggest things that happens in therapy are the generational kind of transmission of abuses. And it goes from domestic violence, about how men are revered in certain families and how women have stepped back and played small and been the object of abuse, to sexual abuse, of all of those ways that women have been objectified and abused. Somewhere along the way, that message has to change from the little girls that we're raising in those families, so they do not subject themselves to men and boys in relationships where they think it's okay to be overpowered, controlled, dominated, and abused. That I see and have seen for years in my therapy work.
Wow, that's powerful. Woo! That was deep.
That was deep.
I told you we was gonna go surface.
That one's a hard one to break.
That was an example of the deep that we're gonna continue to go deeper on Soul Care Saturdays. That's
a hard one for family.
That was a lot to chew on. That was a lot to chew on, but it's real.
Yeah, and, it's real.
We got to talk about it. We're gonna bring it up to the surface. We're gonna go deep to get to the root of it. I love this quote. Tiffany says, "It ran in my family until it ran in."
Yes.
Wow. It ran into my family. Stop the cycle. Wow. Yes.
Yep. Someone has to have the courage. Someone has to have the resources and the support and the knowledge. That's what therapy is about too. Therapy is about entering those kind of safe spaces to unpack that before you go back into the family and try to address it. You really need to be able to get that support, get that validation, get a reality check around, am I seeing this right? Or because this was okay in my family, but it doesn't seem like it's okay in other families. Is this something that I should be concerned about? Like, that's the work of inner healing. So you want to strengthen and get yourself healed so you can go back in the family and start to address some of those issues and be prepared that sometimes the family is not ready for that.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. What if people are dealing with the making room for new, the sacrifice might have to be their family?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I told you I was going to go deep. I'm sorry if I hit some ouches, but we got to talk about
that one is definitely going to be hard. I think it's going to require, right? I think it's going to require your need to weigh what is important and what is of value and what is healthy and necessary for your survival. So if I'm in a relationship, or if there are family members who maybe only come to me when they need money and I never hear from them any other time, or I'm in an again, off again relationship for 10 years with someone and he's not committing to me, but I've stayed. but I know that God won't bring me a whole man until I'm whole, and I have to get rid of this half man or no man.
Ooh, she going there. She going there, y'all.
So if you, like you said, God,
Man, we gotta go there. It's gonna be some ouches. I'm sorry, y'all, for the ouches, but we gotta
you
go
know,
there.
if you want to make room for new, you got to remove
We
the
gotta talk
old.
about it.
You got to
Sorry,
remove the
y'all.
old. And so that's a hard decision, but you're not alone. Get your support system. So those days where you feel lonely after you give him the boot or whatever, and you're starting to feel lonely, it's that you reach out to your support system and like, today's a hard day. I don't want to pick up the phone and call these people. Or I don't want to call him and invite him back into my life after I worked so hard to get him out of my life.
The
So
boundaries, the boundaries.
yeah, you definitely need your support system. You definitely need your support.
Accountability partners and the boundaries. They're
Yeah.
necessary.
Yeah.
You know.
But just keep thinking on the other end of this, what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like. You have to embody that part of winning, because we're so used to not seeing us win. We so used to sometimes settling for mediocre. You have to see yourself winning, like the love that's waiting for you, that promotion that's waiting for you, those new clothes when you get to your weight goal and your fitness goal, the trips you'll take, like all of that. You have to see yourself on winning, because then sacrifice won't feel so hard.
Yeah, so Jadine says that's really it. We hit home for her in terms of the family, you know. The sacrifice for her is definitely the family. So that hit home for her. It looks like. Yeah. That is real talk. What do you value, and how much is it worth to us is to change? Yes. Yeah, that's a very good question, Tiffany. Can we talk about that a little bit, Dr. Clark? Like how much, the value of how much?
That's a risk assessment, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, what am I willing to risk? And if it means I'm willing to risk the sacrifice of not having a relationship with a family member, I may have to consider that. Maybe it will change later, but if it doesn't, and I can only see destruction in it, you don't have to hold on to somebody because you have the same bloodline. You do not. You just don't. Everybody's not in the same place. Everybody's not healthy. So I'm not going to bring and drag along people only for them to kind of wear me out. And then I look at myself and say, gosh, I could be so much further along if I hadn't brought on all this extra baggage. You can ask people, do they need your support? And you can say, hey, I'm willing. But listen, I'm not dragging nobody. I'm not dragging you into 2021, but I will support you. And then I'm going to focus on myself. We have to get over the guilt of them talking about us or them saying I'm acting like I'm better than them. Well, I'm trying to be better for myself. And if it looks like I'm better than you, that's your issue. I'm not internalizing that. That's your stuff. You work on that. You work that out in your head, because I'm working it out in mine.
Come on now. Listen, where's the offering plate? Please. Somebody get Dr. Clark the offering plate. She's preaching. Y'all, listen, I hope everybody's taking notes in here. Yeah. It's an amazing feeling. I don't regret letting go of any of the burdens that was weighing me down. That includes family. Yep. It's got to, but the thing about it is it has to be no holds barred. It has to be putting everything on the chopping block, right? To get chopped up and get disintegrated or get burned, get decluttered, get purged. You got to be willing to put it on the chopping block. You got to be willing to sacrifice it. That's what I'm trying to say. You got to be willing to sacrifice it. So
keep telling yourself, I'm on the side of winning. That's it. I'm on the side. This
if
is
you're
personal.
On the side of winning, it requires sacrifice.
It's personal.
It's got to be personal. That's the only way that you'll be willing to sacrifice something for it if it's personal. If you're on the fence about it, then guess what? It's gonna be constant. You're gonna be constantly in a space of of weighing those decisions, of I don't knows, of questioning, right? And of being stagnant. Okay. Another year. Do y'all want that for yourselves another year? No. This is the year of manifesting. So we got to change our behaviors. We got to show up different in the world if we want different. Right? And so we got to be different people. And we've also got to let go of those people, places, or things that don't serve us.
Yes.
We got to be willing to let go. That's part of the growth. That's part of the change. All right, so let's see. Judine says, I'm here, but I definitely have to rewatch this again. Yes. Me too, girl. I got to take notes. I can't be hosting and taking
Right.
notes. Right. So girl, I'm watching it again just to take notes. And
Yes.
listen, I just want to say this. For all of you that are on Clubhouse, we have committed to doing another hour of this conversation and continuing this discussion on Clubhouse. Okay. I dropped the link. And hopefully the folks that are manning the chat here for us for PRM will share with you the Clubhouse link that Dr. Clack and I will be on, and we'll continue the same conversation. It's Soul Care Saturdays, and our chat's going to be Let's Chat about letting go and making room for the new. That's what our chat's going to be about. So we're going to continue this conversation there at 10:15. And if you're on Clubhouse, join us. Like if you didn't get enough here, then you can finish the conversation or maybe get your questions answered or get involved in the discussion on that platform. So we're committing to kind of get this to as many platforms as possible in the course of 2 hours because we thought this conversation was so worthwhile. And we'll probably do that for any other of the chats that we do for Soul Care Saturdays. We'll do it on both platforms. So right now we're on StreamYard, we're on PRM's page, and of course we're on YouTube for Project ANC. But I'm sure Dr. Clack will be sharing this to her page, and I'll be having this shared on all the other pages for Project ANC movement as well as my personal page. And of course we're moving into Clubhouse at 10:15 today. Yeah. All right, so Dr. Clack, it's about 4 minutes till we're closing out this chat. Whew! I mean, we dropped a lot of bombs on y'all in about an hour. I'm sorry about the bombs, but it was necessary, okay? In order to change, we got to talk about the elephant in the room, which is change, and we've got to talk about strategies, and we got to talk about how we're going to show up different, right? Yeah. We want different, we got to show up different for 2021, right? And we got to put into action and into place different strategies, which require us to sacrifice some things, right? Absolutely. So that's real talk. Absolutely. All right, so here we talked about cleaning house today, right? Mm-hmm. So whether it's a negative pattern or improving your thought processes or your perspective that can push you out of your comfort zone, the question is, are you ready?
That's the question,
right? That's the question. I mean, right? It's 9:57. Now we're talking about, are you ready? Mm-hmm. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. I mean, we dropped a lot of bombs on you, a lot to process and to think through and to strategize around. But it's are you ready? Right? I mean, if you're not ready, then this is not for the faint of heart. This is not easy work. It's uncomfortable work. You have to expect that you're gonna have to get out your comfort zone to do this. And it's, are you ready? If you're ready, then there's lots of work that can be done to help you or to assist you. That we're trying to convince Dr. Clack to become a licensed therapist in Connecticut. So she can take on some clients, and I'm putting it out there. Listen, I'm talking about, I'm doing big ass for 20.
Wow, that was deep.
Oh my God. Big ass. Dr. Clack, we need you as a therapist in Connecticut. We need you licensed, right? So put that on your list of goals.
Oh my God. Oh right? Lord.
If you agree with me, drop that in the chat. That's my big ass for today. We need licensed therapists that look like us, that care about our healing and our wellness.
It's probably easier than New York. I've been trying to get a license in New York for a year. The pandemic has slowed down that process. It is horrible. So
so that's all right. Put it on your list of goals. Right, drop it in the journal. Drop that in the journal. Add that one. Right. Okay, because we need her. We need caring therapists that care about our holistic healing and wellness and understand our narrative.
That's good.
Right? And that understand our narrative, especially as women of color. We need that. We need that.
So yeah, I wore the shirt. It says, I see a therapist in stigma, mental health matters.
Yes, it matters. It matters. It matters. Okay. So it will require you to make some different choices, try new approaches. And of course, again, are you ready?
Are you ready?
Dr. Clack, any last words? As we wrap this up.
I just want us all on the side of winning. I win. If I win, you're winning. If you're winning, I'm winning. That's it. Be on the side of winning.
We just want y'all to win all 20.
That's it. That's it.
All 2021, we want you to win. All 2021. Okay? All right. So again, we're hopping off of this platform This was an amazing conversation and dialogue. Thank you for all those that chimed in the comments. You could, I guess, on our PRM page, you'll be able to kind of drop additional comments. For those who are coming on late to the platform or will be watching this at a later date, we hope that you engage as well and add your comments to lend to the conversation. It's 10 o'clock. As promised, we're going to end this at 10, and we're going to hop on to Clubhouse. The link was dropped for 10:15. So join us there. If you didn't get enough of this and you want to continue and you're on Clubhouse, you're welcome to join us on Clubhouse. My Clubhouse profile link is at I am Dr. Bates. What's yours on Clubhouse, Dr. Clack?
Mine is, oh shoot, good question.
See, I stumped it, y'all. I stumped the doctor.
Right? I just kind of hop on all the time. At Dr. Angela Clack.
Okay. All right. So if you are not following us, follow us. And we're starting there at 10:15 on time to again engage in this conversation there. We wish you guys a phenomenal Soul Care Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Okay. And we want to thank you. We want to thank you again for joining us. Again, and continue to do the work, okay, to make room for whatever your new is for 2021. Again, manifest with intention all 2021, y'all. Take care. Thanks for joining. Bye. Thank you again, Dr. Clack.
You're welcome. See you soon.
All right. See you soon at Clubhouse.